In this video, we're going to learn how we can allow our users to make payments using PayPal. So what we're doing here is you can see just in front of you this form, which is going to allow us to enter a product, a price, and then click pay. And this doesn't need to be how you set up your application. This is just an example form that's going to pass through these details and go ahead and then take the user off to PayPal, allow them to pay with either their PayPal balance or go ahead and use a stored card that they have. Then they're going to come back and their payment is going to complete, and we'll give them a message. So before we start doing this, we need to just take a look at a couple of things that we need in order to do this. Now, the first thing is that you need a PayPal account. And once you do have a PayPal account, or if you already do have a PayPal account, you need to come over to developer.paypal.com, sign in with your PayPal account, and head over to your dashboard. And this is where we can create an app which will give us our API keys in order to actually process a payment. The second thing you're going to need is Composer, which is a dependency manager for PHP. And what this will allow us to do is pull down PayPal's PHP SDK. This is just a library essentially that allows us to connect to PayPal in a really easy to understand way, very clean code in some respects, and just go ahead and sort everything out for us. We don't need to make calls to PayPal on our own. So it's just a helper really. So once you have a PayPal account, or you've signed into developer.paypal.com if you already do have an account, and you have Composer downloaded, we can go ahead and start with this. And obviously this whole process can be integrated into anything within your application. You can define multiple products, you can set tax rates, you can set shipping, and you can set your currency as well. So you can go and take this and just use it however you need to. So let's get started from pretty much from scratch and start to build in this functionality. So we'll first take a quick look at this form that we're using to send data through to our checkout page. We can see here we've got a basic page, basic markup layout. We have a style sheet linked in, which is obviously what makes this page look like this. And then we have this form. So this goes through to checkout.php, which we'll eventually be creating. We're sending this through with a post method, so we can pick this up using PHP's post superglobal. And we have two inputs here, one called product and one called price. And then we have a submit button to allow the user to make a payment. So the next step is going to be downloading the PayPal PHP SDK that we saw earlier. So once you have Composer installed, we can go ahead and pull this down into our application and start to use it straight away. And if you go ahead and search for Packagist under PayPal's REST API, we can go ahead and pull in a version. So in this case, I'm pulling in version 1.3.2. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to head over to my application and I'm going to create a composer.json file, which will allow us to pull this down. And in here, we can define what we want to require, or what we need to require into our application as a dependency. So let's just copy this and paste that into there. Perfect. And we can obviously change the version. We could do 1.3.star if we wanted, but we'll just leave it at this for now. So once we've done that, we need to head over to our terminal to actually install this. So if we just pull this up, I'm currently in the PayPal directory. So we have our index file, our CSS directory, and our composer.json file. And we've just run composer install. That's going to download that dependency, and then we can just include it straight into our project. So there we go. It's already done. Mine loaded from cache, but yours might take a little bit longer if you've not downloaded this before, and it'll have to download from Packagist. But now we have this vendor folder with PayPal here and our autoloader, which we can include into our project. So what we want to do now is set up our application to actually be able to use this. But before that, we're going to create a PayPal application. So once you are signed in, you're over in your dashboard, you want to hit create app just up here. That's going to go ahead and allow you to create an app. And we can give our app a name. So in this case, I'm just going to call it pay for something, but you can call that whatever you want. So we hit create app. And once that is done, we now see a little bit of information about this app. So it has a unique client ID and secret. So we use these to be able to actually connect to PayPal to process our payments. And it's important to note that we have a sandbox and a live version. So doing this within the sandbox will not matter at all. It won't take any money from you or anyone else. It's only when you switch over to live that you will actually be able to take payments from real people. So we're going to stick with our sandbox for now. We've got our client ID and secret. So inside of our application, let's go ahead and pull in the SDK and set everything up. So I'm going to create a app directory within my root PayPal account directory. And inside of here, we're going to create a new file and we're going to call this start.php. So although this isn't structured like a real application, we're going to pretend this is some kind of container maybe that we can actually just create a new PayPal instance from. So inside of here then, we obviously need to require in vendor autoload.php. That's going to go ahead and pull in the SDK ready to use. And I'm going to create just a variable here called PayPal. And everything under the PayPal SDK is namespaced. So in this case, we're going to be pulling in and instantiating an API context class, which is namespaced under PayPal REST. And then we have an OAuth token credential class, which is namespaced under PayPal Auth. If you've not worked with namespaces before, don't worry too much. I'm sure you'll understand by the end of this video because everything is namespaced. We can import namespaces at the top, but in here we're just going to create inline. So we're going to say new PayPal REST API context. And inside of here, we need to pass in our credentials. So to do this, we pass in a new instance of PayPal Auth OAuth token credential. And we have two arguments here. The first is the client ID, the second is the secret. So we already have these here. We can just copy these and paste them in. And just by doing this, this is going to allow us to just do anything really, make card payments, make any other payments, set up anything within the PayPal API. So let's copy over our secret as well. I've just put these on different lines just so it's a little bit neater. And we should be good to go. The last thing I'm going to do inside of start.php is define the overall site URL. And the reason I'm doing this is because when we actually set everything up, we need to tell PayPal where to redirect the user after they've made a successful payment or they've cancelled or something's gone wrong. So I'm just going to do this as a global variable, but obviously this would be in some kind of configuration within your application. And the URL is just going to be this one here. So let's just paste this in and I'll get rid of the trailing /. So we're now done in start.php. We can close this off and we'll now go ahead and create this checkout.php file. So we can actually start to set everything up and then send the user off to PayPal to make a payment. So let's create a new file in here and we'll call this checkout.php. And inside of here then, what we need to do first of all is pull in app start because that's where we're defining our PayPal connection. And just for the sake of this video, remember we have this product and price. I'm going to check if these are actually set before I do anything. Obviously you would have some kind of validation here, but in this case, I'm just going to, for this example, check if they're not set. So we're checking post product and we're checking post price. If they're not set, we'll just kill the page. So now we want to pull in our product price. We want to define the shipping rate. We don't have to do this, but I'm going to in this example. And then we want to calculate our total amount. So we're going to say product. That's going to be post product. We have our price, which is exactly the same, but with pricing. We have our shipping rate. I'm going to set this to 2 in whatever currency we define. You could set your currency up here as well, or set your currency in some kind of configuration. And now I want to work out the total, which is just the price plus the shipping. And you could obviously go ahead and cast this to a float if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you how you structure this and do everything. So the next step then is to define the payment method. How is the user paying? Well, they're paying with their PayPal account, so this is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to create a variable called payer, and this is a new instance of payer, which is part of the PayPal REST